Hey everyone, it's Brett Hornby here, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm going to talk about in this video that after much thought and consideration, what the Calgary Flames should do eventually. As obviously a few months ago, towards the end of August, we had the unfortunate, tragic accident that involved former Calgary Flame and Johnny Gaudreau and his brother Matthew Gaudreau as well. And obviously I made my piece, my video on the memorial on the site, so you can take a look at that video. And I was able to attend the Calgary Flames home opener where I shared that and included that light show that showed where he scored those goals on the Saddledome ice as a Calgary Flame, and obviously the Columbus Blue Jackets, where he happened to sign with a couple seasons ago. They have obviously done their tributes, and both Calgary Flames and the Columbus Blue Jackets have done their tributes, fitting tributes. It's definitely great to see, and all the fans that have taken it in. But the one debate that we've been having here in Calgary, and I understand that it wasn't necessarily the right time to do it now, is the Calgary Flames. I think they should consider retiring Johnny Gaudreau's number 13. I mean, obviously, one hand, it would be a nice gesture to keep them memory alive, but he's also the 5th highest scoring Calgary Flame of all time, and one of the greats, and all the impact that he made, both with the Flames and the organization off the ice. I mean, definitely, you could say he was well loved in Calgary, even though he didn't play with the Calgary Flames anymore, and he didn't necessarily leave down on the best of terms, considering how it was done at the last minute. And obviously that's the decision that he went with, and hopefully it was all worth it. But I think the fact that the Calgary Flames need to consider eventually retiring number 13 to the rafters. And what do you think about that? Or could it at least be forever a Flame? Because I think from this point going forward, I don't think anyone is going to wear that number again for the Calgary Flames, and it's probably kind of being unwritten, untouched now, given unfortunately what has happened. But I think they should go ahead and retire his number. But I understand why they couldn't do it when they did it. I know the Columbus Blue Jackets, they kind of honored his number, because the only other number that the Columbus Blue Jackets has officially retired is Rick Nash's number 6-7, and at their home opener, and it was interesting how some of these tied together. And you got to say, the Calgary Flames and Columbus Blue Jackets, you could say they're intertwined together. How long is this always going to be brought up every time they meet? But I mean, the Columbus Blue Jackets, they've honored the number 13 with a special banner that showed the 2 years that Johnny Gaudreau was alive for. So when teams honor their numbers, it's like it's not officially retired, but can get reused in circulation. But I almost feel that the same thing here in Calgary. Nobody is probably going to wear number 13 again for the Columbus Blue Jackets organization. And Cole Caulfield for the Montreal Canadiens did purposely want to change his number to number 13 for that reason, to honor the memory and the legacy. But here's where a lot of these coincidences, it just worked out that way. I mean, when the schedule got released, but it was at the home opener that the Columbus Blue Jackets, they were hosting the Florida Panthers, and there was a couple former Flames predominant that played a lot with Johnny Gaudreau, named Sam Bennett and Matthew Gaudreau. But I think Matthew Gaudreau couldn't make it to the home opener, and most recently when Matthew Gaudreau came here, when the Florida Panthers here, and was asked about Johnny, and he was extra emotional in his answer and thinking about it every day. But it was just too coincidental that the Columbus Blue Jackets, they were taking on the Florida Panthers, and with some Flames connections from there, and it was very unique what they did was they left that left wing spot open where Johnny would have been, and both teams agreed to run out 13 seconds off the clock for his honor, and then after that, both teams, changed lines and then continue on. You can only imagine what it'd be like to be in that game, knowing the circumstances where one end you gotta be, you're respectful and emotions, but still at the end of the day, 2 points is on the line. So that's just the one thing that was just weird how it was coincidental. And then the Calgary Flames, as I mentioned, I went to the home opener. Well, the Calgary Flames happened to be hosting the Philadelphia Flyers at the home opener, and what do you know? That happens to be the childhood favorite team of Johnny Gaudreau. That's just too coincidental, not being a conspiracy. I mean, the schedule came out like just after the beginning of July, where we didn't know this happened. And it should also mention that when Florida and Columbus played each other in warm-ups, both sides were wearing Gaudreau number 13 jerseys. But that didn't happen here in Calgary for the Philadelphia game, but there was that tribute. But once the Columbus Blue Jackets came to Calgary, they did the tribute where both teams were wearing Johnny Gaudreau jerseys. What was also interesting is the number 13. That happened to be the 13th game, home game for the Calgary Flames that season. And the Flames happened to win that game. I mean, 5 days earlier it was the Columbus Blue Jackets. The game was in Columbus. There were some storylines around that the Columbus Blue Jackets won that game, while the Calgary Flames won the game when Columbus was in Calgary. So I guess both sides can get their tributes and get the win in at the same time for the families. But that happened to be the 13th home game and the 13th game that the Calgary Flames won for the 24-25 season. So another thing that's just too coincidental, and then tying back here, the Columbus Blue Jackets, Philadelphia Flyers, and Calgary Flames, and hopefully it's been therapeutic for the family, and especially with Guy Gaudreau. He did spend time at practice with the Flyers, Blue Jackets, and Calgary Flames, and then they had the whole family together. Actually, you noticed that Madeline wasn't there, which is Matthew's brother, but she was also due to have the child in December, so that's probably why she wasn't there. But I think the Flames, there were some people wondering maybe they'll retire his number. I think they should do it eventually, but the first time both teams playing each other, and the fact that the family was there, it was more just for the celebration of life. And obviously one of the influences for former Flame that had a bond with Johnny Gaudreau, closest to ever, was Sean Monahan. When they both were here, Sean Monahan decided to play and sign with the Columbus Blue Jackets for that reason. Unfortunately, what happened, you definitely tell it was tough for Sean Monahan to face the media and take part in the ceremonies. That his face was stone because he was trying to hold back emotions. But still, it was great to see what both teams did and the hockey world done. But I think eventually the Calgary Flames will make that right call, and I think they should retire his number 13, because I don't think anyone's going to wear it again any down the road now with the circumstances around the number. And of course, with all the tributes and the memorial, I mean, they were able to make a bench from all the sticks, and I heard that they took digital pictures of all the memorabilia and also all the stuff right in the concrete. Hopefully what I wrote down that I shared in that video is in that book, and it's great to see, family appreciate it. Hopefully it's been, therapeutic for them just to see how much it means. And I know another thing that was at the time when the tragic accident happened, and the other thing talked about is that we almost, in a way, we have to apologize for the fact that we booed Johnny Gaudreau the first time he came back to Calgary with Columbus. And I always say that's that thing that happens in sports when a longtime player, decided to leave somewhere else and free agency, and kind of the way you do it. I mean, he had his reasons about being closer to family, and still was odd that, considering he was from New Jersey, and the Flyers was his childhood favorite team, that he didn't sign with either team, but they also couldn't make the cap work, and Columbus did the best job. Apparently that was also where the job was for Meredith, the wife of Johnny Gaudreau. It was in Columbus that made everything work. But I was going to say that it was interesting that he was able to sign there, be close to the family, but when going back to when Columbus came here, I actually made a comment about that and say we Torte, but not knowing this was going to happen, and someone put in perspective that there's kind of two ways to look at booing someone, especially if they come back in town and touch the puck. Every time they touch the puck, is one is if you legitimately dislike the player, and that definitely was not the case even when Johnny decided to sign elsewhere and came back. And the other was, we didn't like the decision, but we still like you. And it's just kind of that thing that happens in sports, and eventually it would die down. I felt like it died down, the next time it came before this unfortunate thing. But the rousing of the emotions, the memorial, that's how we really, really feel about Johnny Gaudreau, and it would be a nice gesture for the Flames to eventually do it. And then I was talking with someone that I say in an alternate universe, let's say if he decided to, and it's a different way to look at it, that let's say if in an alternate universe Johnny Gaudreau decided to stay with the Calgary Flames and everything else was still in place. Someone said that Johnny could still be in New Jersey for his sister's wedding. So that's kind of an interesting way to look at it too, when some people are thinking, if he decided to stay in Calgary, could he? It's just too many what ifs. I mean, unfortunately, it was a tragic accident, but let's say if that wedding still was scheduled when it was scheduled, Johnny would still be in New Jersey, even if he was with the Calgary Flames. And this is all just being hypothetical at this point, but that's all I say is, do you think the Flames, will they do something else down the road when more time has passed? And I just felt it would have been too much too soon to retire his number given the circumstances, but I think it's something eventually that needs to happen. And there was other debate about the the Lady Byng Trophy. Could they potentially rename it to the Johnny Gaudreau Memorial for the most general spec player? And it was interesting, a couple weeks prior to the unfortunate incident, when I went to Toronto, I did see all the awards, and I did capture all the or can of any Calgary Flame connections on the award. And I did see Lady Byng, did see Yuri Huther, and then 2 years later Johnny Gaudreau winning it, not knowing this was going to come up. But that's another debate too, is should they rename that award in his honor as well? I know for the Mark Messier Leadership Award used to be the Leslie B. Pearson Award, that the peers, NHL players, vote on who you think is the best leader, and that's players, voting as opposed to what the press says. But that's all I gotta say. I know it's still a little touchy, and I'm gonna say if I do my Calgary sports year in review video where I talk about the teams, but obviously the biggest Calgary sports story of the year have to have been, Johnny Gaudreau, and as well as Matthew, just the unfortunate situation, and just what, the city did, how fans, including myself, did their little part, and how they try to honor his memory. But I do think that for sure number 13 for the Calgary Flames should retire, because I don't see anyone else wearing that number again, given the circumstances. He is the fifth highest scoring player of all time in franchise history as well. And despite how things ended, we eventually forgive and forget, and it'd just be still a nice way to still preserve the memory, and who knows what could be in the memory when we keep building up the Scotia place. So what do you think? So as a close out, I just want to say, if you want to follow along with this Calgary sports fans journey, just make sure you hit like, subscribe. I have my other social media links down in the description below. I just want to say go Flames go, and thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.